Hi everyone, welcome to Crafting in Quarantine. My name is Dabney. I'm the Young Adult Librarian at the Twin Lakes Library System and I use they, them pronouns. For today's craft, we are going to be making a Bulbasaur Planter. So Bulbasaur, as you all know, is a Pokemon and we are going to be making this planter with an upcycled materials, which is a plastic drink bottle. So this is a pretty easy craft. The main problem we're going to run into is waiting for the paint to dry, as you'll see in a minute. So go ahead and get started with some materials you'll need. First of all, you'll need your drink bottle. You're going to need paint, whatever color green paint you want. You're going to need your brushes, some Sharpies. You might not need all of these, but these are the ones I'm using. You're going to need an X-Acto knife and or some scissors, maybe a pencil, a template for the little pieces you're going to glue on, which I'll have a link to the template in the video notes. You're going to need, for when you're planting your plant, if you're doing a fake plant like I did, you're going to need like some filler, supplies. This is what I'm using, some sand, some pebbles, and a little fake plant. So all of these supplies right here I got from the Dollar Tree. So there is, I don't know if they still have them, but there's a time when they're selling like a lot of fake succulents. And I would recommend hitting them up and getting them there. I haven't seen them really cheaper anywhere else. So to get us started, what we're going to do is, and you know what, I think this probably would have worked better on a bottle that was not a Coke bottle. You know, this one kind of curves up like this, and I don't know what bottle I used for this. Maybe like a Fanta bottle. I don't know. That would probably work better, but this is what I've got. So we're going to draw the Bulbasaur like ear. So I'm going to look at mine here, try to figure out how I want it to look. And I actually tried not to buy plastic ever, but I knew I needed a bottle for this, so I was like, oh, just this one time, I'll get a plastic bottle. Okay, so that's kind of how it looks on the front. So you want the curve of the top of his head to kind of be over, you know, the little feet at the bottom. Mine isn't totally centered, but that's okay. And then you've got like the little ears sticking up. Now I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut this out. Again, these are very sharp, so just kind of press it in. I think the tip of, there we go, the tip of mine is broken, so sometimes it doesn't go in. But then you just pull it along your line, being very careful. And I'm going to do this side here. At this point, I'm going to use my scissors to finish cutting. Because these scissors actually have like a curve to them, so they're good for cutting this. And I'm not going to get it perfect right now. I'm just going to kind of try to cut it out the shape and then even it up once I'm done. The top part you can recycle. So then now I'm going to cut along my lines a bit better. And don't worry about your Sharpie lines because once you paint it, they're not going to show up. Alright, so like that. Now what we're going to do is paint this. So I've got a couple different colors of paint in here. I had tried the metallic paint first, and I'll show you how that turned out. So this is probably going to take a couple coats of paint. When I did the metallic, it was just not very thick. This is the other color. It's a little bit thicker. So I might go over it with metallic when I'm done, but for right now I'm just going to mix some white paint in with this green paint. And that's what I'm going to paint the Bulbasaur for. If you have a lot of different paint, that's great. You can mix it up and try to get it looking, you know, as close to what the Pokemon looks like as possible. I wasn't really worried about mine looking exactly the same. So there, it's like a little bit lighter. And we're going to go ahead and paint this on. I would say paint the facing part first, because that's where we're going to need to glue on different parts of it. Okay, and adding white to that paint, that green paint, really helped thicken it up. So I think I might only have to do one coat. And the white paint I used was not acrylic. It's for ceramics, like painting on ceramics, so it's really thick. And I think that helped a lot. But you know, whatever you've got, if you've got Sharpies, you know, color it with Sharpies. Okay, and you want to paint your entire planner, like paint the bottom of it too. So there we go. And I'm going to see if I can rest this on something without getting paint everywhere. I don't know if that's gonna work. Trying not to touch the sides of the planner, but that might be inevitable. That's good. Okay. You can always like touch up your paint afterwards, which is what I'm gonna have to do because I just left some fingerprints on there. Okay, so the painting part is done. The next part is coloring and cutting out your paper template. So this I printed from the website, I'll link. And honestly, this is too big for our tiny bottle, so I kind of traced out a smaller shape in there. If you print this, you know, you might be able to size it down before you print it out, like size down the image. So these little pieces here, they're going to go right here in your Bulbasaur. So you want it to be a different color green. I'm just going to do my green Sharpie. And you know what I should have done, y'all? I should have put paper underneath this paper because, you know, Sharpies, it bleeds through. It just bled through on my table. This table has been through a lot since April when I started doing these programs. Alright, and then the red, you're going to color your Bulbasaur's eyes, and they actually look like this. And I'm just kind of following what I did for this little guy here. Kind of looking at that and trying to get the shape right. in the tutorial I have linked. You can also like refer to that and see how she did hers. Like here, I didn't do a big enough circle for the pupil, so I might have to go back and like paint that part in, because again, Sharpie bleeds and the pupil is gone, so I'll have to repaint the pupil there. That's okay. And then I'm just going to do a line here, and then we're ready to cut them out. So these eyes aren't going to be probably exactly the same, which is why I think it helps to size down your image before you print it. That's what I did the first time I did this craft, and then I forgot about it the second time. So let's see. Those are not the same size, so I'm going to trim it just a little bit to see if I can get them to be about the same size, because I am a perfectionist. Well, I'm kind of a perfectionist. Okay. Alright, now they are looking right. Then we're going to cut out the little green spots. And the rest of this paper, you know what can happen to it? It can be recycled. Okay. Now, if you wanted to make your Bulbasaur planter, like if you wanted to actually have a plant growing in there, you could do that. You would just need different materials for growing like your succulent or your cactus or whatever, something like that. And I can have some links also posted for doing that as well. Some information on how you can grow something in one of these little planters. Alright, these are cut out. Let's see, let me curve this one just a little bit more. Okay, now let's check our bottle and see how the paint is. Ooh, it's really wet still. And we need it to be completely dry before we move on to the next part of this. So just gonna have to leave it and come back to it in a minute. And I can see some of the Sharpie lines on there that are gonna need to be touched up. So if you had like a hair blow dryer or something like a fan in your house, putting this in front of that can help speed up the drying process. But for now, I'm just going to step away and come back when it's dry and finish the process. So I'm back. It has been, how many minutes? I can't do math. It's been like 25 minutes. So this is mostly dry. There are some places that are still wet, like the back, so I just got paint on my hand. So be careful. I would say if you're doing this at home, you know, do a second coat of paint. As you can tell, this coat is still pretty transparent. So I say do a second coat, wait for it to dry, and then do this next part. But I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'm going to go ahead and glue on the eyes. So I'm just using some Elmer's glue. You know, use whatever you've got at home to do this part. Let's see. Just a little bit of glue, you don't need a lot. And so kind of looking at this for reference to where I'm going to place my eyes. Let's see. And even though I'm gluing the eyes down now, I can go back later and, you know, paint around them and kind of give this another coat of paint, which is what I'm going to do. So I kind of positioned my eyes sort of like the corners lining up with here, with like the ears. And now we're gonna glue our spots, or whatever they're called, onto here. And it's a little bit messy. These spots are really tiny. So I'm gonna glue the big one first, and then the two small ones. They're sticking to my fingers. Okay. So this one is gonna go like in the middle of his forehead. Like that. And the two small ones are gonna go beneath. This spot has been sticking to my fingers. So kind of like that. I think I would have liked it spaced out a little bit differently, but that's pretty good. Now the last part, as you can tell, I'm kind of getting the paint smudge with my hands because it's not totally dry. But last of all, what you do is you're going to draw like the nose and the mouth. And you can also paint this if you want. And sorry, y'all can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'll show you in just a second. Yeah, the Sharpie is having a bit of trouble because the paint's still a little bit not totally dry right here. So I'll need to go back and kind of clean this up a little bit, but I just wanted to show you. There, the face, so cute. And so for our final part, that is getting our planter planted. So these guys are like siblings. So first of all, we're going to get out our sand. And you want to fill almost the entire container with sand or dirt or whatever you want. You could do the whole thing full of pebbles. if you're just doing a fake plant in here. One time we bought like some kosher salt from the Dollar Tree because it was, I think they were out of sand, and that works as well. So you've got the sand in here. Then we're going to put some pebbles on top. Just fill it up till it's covering the sand. And then you put your succulent in, position it however you want to do that. And there we go. So if you want to push it down a little bit more, you can do that. You can like, however. So I think he turned out really super cute. So that's our craft, y'all. Not a whole lot of material, well, kind of a lot of materials, but all of them you can get like really cheaply, or you can reuse them. You know, I bought the sand and the pebbles, but you know, you could go outside and collect things you find out there. You know, you can try to grow a plant in your planter, so I'll have some more information about that. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. But one other thing I was forgetting to say is this is the first, you know, not the first day. This is the second day. When I'm recording it, it's the first day. But anyways, tomorrow is the second day of Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm going to be doing a book talk on Monday of Latinx and Hispanic authors. And I just wanted to show you my bookshelves where I've highlighted some of those authors that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, have a great week, everyone. See you next time. Bye.